Grooveboxes. Visit Patchwerks in Seattle and online at patchwerks.com.
Hi there, my name is Matthew. I'm here at Patchwerks, and we're back for another episode of This Week at Patchwerks, but now we're going to call it Patchwerks Live because we're doing it live on YouTube. So the show that we put on every Friday at 3 o'clock is now transitioning over to YouTube, which is awesome because we have a better audience here. But the show is synthesizers, effects pedals, Eurorack modules, demos, interviews, and performances for the most part. And we'll also update you on some local events when we get the chance. But today I have the honor of having a local musician who makes some fantastic tunes, great live performer, goes under the name YBOT, who's going to come on here and perform with some Elektron gear and a 4U palette case by IntelliGel full of some fantastic modules, including some built by locals. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on YBOT and he's going to jam out.
Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate it. Appreciate you having me on the show today. Everyone, my name is YBOT, aka Toby. No relation to EZBOT. Two bots, different people. So today, I'd love to perform a little piece for you. Like Matthew said, I'm using a couple Elektron boxes. I've got the Digitakt, the analog heat, and a small modular palette case. This is the first case that I ever got. I love having this small format of case, and got some cool modules in there. So I'm using one oscillator. The Maestro is like the main brain and clock and does envelopes and stuff. I've got a filter, the Akari Versio module, which is doing some reverb delay in the Electus Versio firmware. And then I've got an Afterlater Monsoon, then some utilities on the bottom. Got a nonlinear circuit sloth, an IntelliGel Quadrat, and a Cockpit V2 by Endorphins. So yeah, thanks for joining the stream, and I'll play some music now. Sweet. All right, I'm gonna pull the microphone back over. Woo! All right. You know, what Matthew never says to anybody is it's really hot up here, especially when you're jamming out. But, dude, that was awesome. Thank you so much. So I'm gonna go over a little bit what was happening here. Many of you may be familiar with the Digitakt. I'll just go run through that really quickly. Probably not going to go track by track, but the way I like to do Digitakt, much to my chagrin from some people who will not be named, is that I don't use the labels at all on the buttons. I tend to put kick on number 1, some sort of snare on number 2. Okay, we're good so far. At number 3, we start to diverge, and I always have my hi-hat on 3. 4 is maybe some extra percussion or something like that. 5 is always a bass line, and 6, 7, 8 or some kind of sample bass material. So just to run through this real quick on this first pattern, we've got a kick. A lot of these are from the Blank Forms Machine and Tape Haze sample packs, which I really like a lot. So just a basic kick, and there's a little snare, hi-hat. This one had some delay on it. Got a little echoey thing happening. This one had a pretty like deep, distorted cassette tape 808 bassline kind of vibe. Hopefully that comes through in the stream. Then I don't remember what was in track 6. Oh, nothing. Hi-hat. Then we have the vocal sample. That we talked about a little bit, which is does not play every time, so we might not hear it. Oh, there it is. So yeah, I loaded this up sampled this from YouTube, loaded it up and kind of sliced it up. Didn't re-pitch it, or I did re-pitch it, but I didn't change the tempo to match or anything like that. Then I think we have a little clave action going here. So that's the Digitakt stuff. Oh yeah, then a field recording of some ravens that I made for some texture in the beginning. So the setup here is that the modular case goes into the Digitakt. Then the Digitakt output goes into the Elektron analog heat. I have the compressor in the Digitakt set up like a maximizer, just so I get a lot of volume out of it going into the Digitakt or into the analog heat. I love the analog heat. Mine is a Mark 1, but I find it to be totally fine. The Mark 2 I know has a better screen and some cool envelope follower stuff on it. But what I like to use it for is obviously, I think it sounds great. I have a setup that I learned from someone on YouTube that does some envelope following and changes the drive based on the audio that's coming in. So it kind of gives you a side chain, kind of a pumping feel to stuff, even if you don't have any other side chaining going on, which I did. But it's also really performative. I love putting the high pass filter there and using it like a DJ kind of filter for transitions and stuff like that. I think that's really cool. Now into the fun meat of stuff. I'm gonna try not to bump the microphone, but let's listen to the modular. So I need to load this back up. So one thing that I'd love to talk about is one of my favorite modular hacks is this little cable right here. You'll notice there's a MIDI cable coming out of here, but I don't have any MIDI modules in my modular case. And that's because this is a cable that costs $12. I think it's made by ALM. I bought it to go with my Pamela's New Workout, which is normally the brain of my little palette case here. But today I've swapped it out for the Acid Rain Maestro. And this cable, what it does is it takes a DIN 48 signal and splits it into clock and run individual outputs. So the Digitakt you can change the functionality of the MIDI channel, of either of the MIDI channels actually, to do DIN 48 or DIN 24. In this case I went for DIN 48. And so I have the MIDI through port set up to DIN 48, and then this cable splits the signal out into clock and run, which go into the Maestro. And the Maestro, in the setup menu, you can divide the clock down or up, I believe, as you need, but I have it set up to do 48. So as you can see, like, nothing's running right now, but as soon as I press play here, all the lights light up, and we're perfectly in sync between our Digitakt and our modular case. So that's really awesome. I love this thing. I bought it a long time ago, and it's like incredibly versatile. Basically saves you a bunch of HP, which is, for me, is important in a small case like this. And just allows you to be really flexible, and it's like one less thing to carry around. I guess the first thing to talk about here is the oscillator I'm using. This is a new module made here in Seattle. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. Called Siren. So basically it's a drone oscillator. It's kind of similar to, I at least approach it kind of similar to the chord mode on the Mutable Instruments Platts, in that this first knob here selects a chord that you can play. I'm going to go, oh, my modulation is muted there. So you can hear we're playing a chord here. But if I change this knob here, I do still have my modulation running, sorry. So the cool thing about the Siren is that instead of having discrete steps between the different chords, it interpolates the values and shifts the oscillators in and out. So this actually has, I believe, it's either 21 or 23 oscillators. Oh, sorry, little cat. So it fades in oscillators in and out based on what chord you are, and as you turn it up, it gets weirder. So that's what the first knob does. I'm on a major chord now, I guess. The second knob is the inversion of the chord. So as you go down, and up. And then Siren is also, it's a wavetable oscillator, so this index knob changes the wavetable. And then the Z knob down here navigates through the wavetable. So each one of these is modulatable. For X, you have to modulate it via an external CV source, but for Y and Z, if I unplug this, they actually have little attenuverters that apply an internal LFO to these parameters. So that's really cool. You can get a lot of it out of it without even adding any modulation. And then there's this Animate Knob, which all the way off, you get this very like uniform, all the oscillators are in tune with each other, like very strong. And then as you turn it up, they start to detune and go stereo. This is a stereo oscillator. Last thing to talk about here is that you can access 2 of the LFOs as outputs. So again, in a small case, it's really cool to have like that compact functionality. So I'm using it for some various modulation here. It also has 2 volt per octave inputs, pulse modulation input, an LFO input, trigger input that resets all the phase of all the modulation. You can modulate the index. It's really, really cool. So that goes into the Ikari stereo filter, which is like one of my newest modules, and I absolutely love it. I've been after it for a long time. I also love the Make Noise QPOS, but this one is a lot smaller than the QPOS, obviously. So yeah, this one is doing like the main again, we're in major now, but it's doing like the main like chord stabs there. Going into Imitor Versio, which has the Electus Versio firmware on it, which is kind of like a clocked reverb delay vibe. And then in a separate path, I'm taking what's called the Beyond output of the Ikari and going into the Monsoon. Beyond is kind of like the difference of the twin filters that are inside. So you get this interesting like trapezoidal filter shape that goes into the Monsoon, is sampled, and then just does like the clouds thing there. That all goes into the cockpit, which has a sidechain trigger, so it gets sidechained by the kick. I don't know if we can like really hear that. Oh, actually it doesn't get sidechained because my trigger's gone. So maybe I unplug that in transit or here or something like that. But anyhow, yeah, that's the setup. It's really compact, but it has like a really cool range of textures. And as you saw, as I switched patterns, I also changed like the Siren from playing more of a chord to just like playing one note. And then when you pitch down, you can get a pretty sweet bass line if you add some modulation to it, which I think sounds pretty awesome. Yeah, so that's the modular case. And we went over the Digitakt, we went over the analog heat. Yeah, I guess the other thing to talk about is that the Maestro, the Siren, and the Monsoon are all made by local Seattle companies. So the Monsoon's a clone of the Mutable Instruments Clouds made by After Later Audio. And yeah, I'm like super interested in finding combinations of like the most utility or most interesting sounds out of a small setup like this. So always changing things around, but really appreciate Matthew and Patchwerks having me here today. It's been really awesome to perform for you, and hope you have a great weekend. We'll let Matthew come back up.
Oh my gosh. That sounded so good. That was amazing. That was a stellar performance. We're really lucky to have YBOT come and perform here. Excellent breakdown of what's going on the table. Anybody who's familiar with anything that I like to do, you know I love Elektron gear. I love the Digitakt, and Toby, YBOT, was killing it on the Digitakt. The setup on the modular system is just mind-blowingly good. I particularly love this cable by After Later Audio that we do sell here at Patchwerks. If you're interested in that, we do sell these, and that was really cool. And I actually didn't even know we carried them until Toby told me. So that's great to know. So about this Siren Oscillator, you can find the Siren Oscillator at Patchwerks only. This is a Patchwerks only module right now. So if you're interested in what Toby was just talking about and sharing, go ahead and visit patchwerks.com, and you can just look up Siren, or you can head over to the used and consignment section because this is being consigned here. And it's the only way to get your hands on one. So if you're interested in that, head on over to Patchwerks. A couple other things I want to talk about is local events. I know Toby's very tall, so I adjusted the camera, so I look really short today. There's some events coming up on the 27th. We're going to be doing an Icebox performance, so it'll be Project 32, EZBOT, it's myself, and Jeremy Blake, aka Red Means Recording, on the 27th at Icebox Arcade at 7 o'clock. It is a free show, live hardware, electronic music. Come on down and check it out. We do it every month, last Tuesday of the month. There's also going to be an Ableton meetup happening October 1st. With special guest Jeremy Blake. I do recommend you show up to that. It's going to be a really cool event. And last thing I wanted to mention is that we are starting up a lessons program. It's already kind of began, so if you're interested in that, go ahead and email support@patchwerks.com, and you can try and get involved in that. Besides that, my name is Matthew, aka EZBOT. I'm happy to have kicked off this YouTube live stream because we're switching over, like I said at the beginning, from Twitch and Facebook streaming to just strictly YouTube. So this is where we're going to be staying. And I'm glad it turned out so great, and so many of you showed up, and the chat is so active. We love you here at Patchwerks. Synthesizers, sales, community, and education is what we're all about. So if you're interested in any of those things, head on down to Patchwerks. in Wallingford on Stone Way, and we will set you up. So again, thank you from Toby, YBOT, fantastic performance, and I will see you guys next Friday at 3 o'clock, same Patchwerks channel, right here. Catch me. I'll see you later.